So, welcome back. We will now continue on validating the input. So, we have already prepared this for checking whether this is a correct input. Um, okay, we have checked now, and now we need to check if this is true. We also, this is fine, but we also need another condition. And we need the condition to be that the field where the row and column is empty, otherwise it's not valid. So let's just put in another end here, end condition, and field and the empty sign is this one. So field of row and column equals this. Okay. So then if this is true, then what's wrong? If row, okay, I forgot here a bracket, and if I forgot it there, then it should be also here. So now we have this function that should work. This will validate our input. So let's just put in the function here and validate the input before the maybe let's not say return true. We can just okay, yeah. So we have validated the input, but also we would need to repeat the input when it's invalid, when it's not valid. So let's check how we can do that. So we need let's just try it. So we have the input here, we have the input here. So we will put in here the validate input. Validate input. And then player 1 row and player 2, player 1 column. Also we need the field, game field, the current one. And what else do we need? Current row. Ah, that's all. Okay, nice. So if the validate input is true, then we can continue. Otherwise we can't. So if this is true, then we can do that, else we can't. So let's say what if it's not, then we just give the player, for now, just give the player another chance to do the input. But the next input for now is not validated. So let's just check whether this works. I will evaluate this. So let's do a false input and player 2, player 1 column is not defined. Okay. Let's see. I did a mistake here. Player 1 column I wrote. Okay. So let's do it again. So let's do an invalidate input. And we see that we get another chance to put in correct input. Okay, and now the output is working when we have the right input. Okay, maybe we should inform the player as well that the input is not valid. So let's put print input not valid. Try again. Okay, now we do this for here as well. But with this time with player 2, and now what do we need to do? Okay, we need to break this here. Okay, so let's try this again. Input not valid. Where is the problem? Print input not invalid syntax. You forgot a comma. I forgot the bracket here. Okay. What? Here also. Okay. Okay, nice. So now we have some kind of validation, input not correct, and now it's working. So input not valid, try again. Of course, this can be improved. Now, this is just to show how we can program TicTacToe. But of course, now, if you think of it, then there is a lot to improve. But the way you go for this is mostly you start out in a way that works for you. I will just give you an example of how to do this better. For example, we have all these code blocks are almost the same. The only thing that's different is that we just input here the O and the X. So what we could do is we could just put this code block and as one code block and just change between X and O, and then this would be much cleaner, I would say. The code would be cleaner. It would also be more readable, and that is one thing that needs to be improved, of course. And to this input validation, I would rather have it in a way that you just are caught up in a loop. So if you give an invalid input, then it will give you the output. It will just say, okay, now try again, and so on. For now, we have just put this in an if condition, but this yeah should be improved also, that the input should be maybe given in one step and not in two steps. Also, this is really bad, but um, just I mean it works, but this you would also do with a loop, right? You would just loop over this, so and then you have maybe four conditions. Much more readable. I wouldn't say much more readable, but it would be more compact and more elegant. But the main point is that it works, and I just wanted to show that. I hope I didn't forget anything, but I just wanted to show how to program with Jupyterlab, TicTacToe, and of course we also could have a nice UI here and put this into the browser, having better inputs and better outputs. But this works for now, and yeah, happy coding.